talking about life insurance for children. And this is a very delicate and sensitive topic for a lot of people. The truth is, most of us have a hard time talking about life insurance for ourselves. It's crazy. We think if we talk about life insurance, we're going to die. I don't know what we think. But life insurance is one of the best way to create, secure, and sustain wealth. And we're going to talk about a little bit about that in one of our other sessions. But life insurance, this is Life Insurance Awareness Month. And I get to talk about life insurance all month. I may stretch it right into October or something like that. I don't know. But talking about life insurance, I don't think it's a better place to start than talking about life insurance for children and students. And I hope that I can make this relevant to us and we can see the value. But let's go. Let's get started. When we think about life insurance, when we think about our families, we think about the children and so on. And most people I know, the only life insurance they know for children may be a Gerber policy. And these policies usually, I don't know, 10, 15, 20,000 or whatever. Or maybe they have life insurance on their job, and $10 or $15,000. And the rationale behind that is, well, the children they don't make no money. And so, we're not losing a lot if some. That is totally wrong. Another argument people make is, well, I don't want to make money off of my children. Okay, that's another twisted way of thinking about it, looking at it. But hopefully I can offer you a different view, different point of view, because I believe that children are very valuable parts of our family, And, they had this song that said, children are our future and all this kind of stuff, right? Let them lead the way and so on and so forth. Well, if they are our future, don't you think you ought to protect your future? I think so. I think we should protect our future. So let's talk about how do we do that? Most life insurance policies, and they call it life insurance so you would buy it, okay? That's the only reason they call this life insurance. Because if it only pays when you die, then it can't be life insurance. Something wrong with that name. But if they called it death insurance, you wouldn't purchase it. So to make it sound good, they call it life insurance. So most of the policies that we knew before were only for when you die. And then it really got big time when they went to permanent life insurance. Now you can accumulate a few dollars in it. But it was still mainly for when you die. Okay? Now, in 1937, the world shifted a little bit because a little company by the name of National Life Group began to offer what's called life insurance with living benefits. This here is a game changer. This is a major change. And I know some people say, well, I never heard about that. I mean, yes, it started that long ago. And yes, there are many things in this world that's been happening for a long time, even though you or I never heard of it. All right. So that's just something that happens. So the thing about it is this: 1937, the world of life insurance started to change. Sadly, up to today, many people still have not gotten the memo, but that memo is out there. Introduced life insurance with living benefits. So what in the world is life insurance with living benefits? Life insurance with living benefits says this: that during your lifetime, this life insurance policy that you have doesn't only respond in case you die, but it also responds if you get a terminal illness, if you get a chronic illness, if you get a critical illness, or if you get a critical injury. Now they added Alzheimer's diagnosis or disease to it, and they even added, what they call it, Lewy dementia. I don't know how to pronounce some of these names. Y'all got to pray for me. But the thing is, these added benefits at no extra cost or the difference between financial ruin for some families and not. And you say, well, John, what's that have to do with children? Well, I can promise you it has everything to do with children. You know, when you think about children and family and we love them and you know, from the time they're babies, you know, they make you smile and so on. But now you start investing from before they get here. You are investing because this is a very important part of the family. And now you save money also for college and all these kind of things. You put money away for all this good stuff, right? But, you know, it can happen that they get sick. You know, people hate to think about this, but we have a big old hospital here in Houston called Texas Children's Hospital. It's a big building. It's many stories high, and it's a complex. Then, of course, some of you heard of St. Jude's Hospital, right? And, you know, the Shriners Hospital. Why? Because things happen. It's not always about dying. What if they become ill? This is real to me because, you know, you see things on TV, right? It's always those guys on TV. Never you, never me, until it happened to us. So my nephew has a daughter that at the age of 2, she needed 4 years of chemo. So it's not just people on TV, it's me also. But, you know, the thing about this is when the kids have to go to the hospital, you can't drop them off in the morning, give them a kiss, and say, baby, I'm going to see you when I get back from work. That doesn't work like that. They are not admitted to the hospital unless someone, a family member, is going to be there with them all day. End of story. They have to have support. The hospital have the treatment, but the children need that family support. And so that's the rule. You know, even St. Jude Hospital, great concept, treats children with cancer and so on. And it doesn't cost the parents anything. But you got to get there. You got to stay with them. You can't ship them off. And so what happens when you do that? I'm going to come back and deal with some of that. All right. We look at our kids that going to college, right? They graduating. We've got so much hope for them, right? A lot of hope. But you know how many accidents happen on summer vacations, on graduation vacations, on prom, prom weekends and so on and so forth. I heard of on the news of this gentleman that was in Hawaii for summer, and he was like a 3rd or 4th year medical student. Jump off the rock, ended up paralyzed. 3 or 4 year medical student. So I hope he had a scholarship for all those years. But if he didn't, right? What about those college loans and all that stuff? How was that handled? Listen, I'm not making up stories, right? That's the story I heard on the news. I'm gonna tell you another story. I worked in Medicare. I worked with several companies, and I worked with Medicare recipients. And I visited a home. I was being trained, I believe, at this. I was being trained, and I went to the home. I'm trying to figure out who is here on Medicare because everyone here looks pretty young. Mom opened the door with a very frustrating look on her face. She appeared to be about 49 years old. And I'm saying, she can't be on Medicare. So she invited us in, and I'm taking notes. I'm with my trainer. And the person we were there to see was a 27-year-old young man. 27-year-old. Motorcycle accident. Completely paralyzed from his neck down. So he's in a wheelchair that he can operate with his mouth, with a little thing with his mouth. And mama, so frustrated, she had to quit her accounting job, right, to stay home to make sure he's going to be all right. So 27, did he graduate from college already? I don't know. I don't know if he even went to college. But if he did, was he, let's say he went to college right after high school and graduated, 4-year degree, ready to go. Did he make enough money in 3-4 years to pay off those student loans? I don't know. But mom looked very frustrated. But, we committed to family. And so what happened if they had life insurance with living benefits? I remember when my nephew's wife, once they confirmed the diagnosis, she called him one day and she said, I just quit my job. She was an educator, making about $50,000 a year. And she said, I just quit my job. So the next 4 years, she's committed to be there for her daughter. There came a time when the daughter was kind of a lost some of her hair. Mom cut her hair too. That's support. That's family. That's support. That's what we do. We'll give up anything for our kids. But now there are some things called bills. And these bills, I talked about accidents happening, but these bills keep coming, right? And how many of y'all know that if you explain to the debtor that you want to pay them, but there's an illness and you'll have to pay them in the next 10 or 20 years, you can't pay them now. How many of y'all know they're very sympathetic to that? They're not. How many of you know that if you got a mortgage, the mortgage people, some of them are very nice. They will say, we understand. We can let you skip this payment, but next month we want our money. That's the way it is. Because while you're fighting this illness, you still have to live somewhere. While you're fighting this illness, you still have to eat and you still have to do the things. When I talk to people about life insurance, when I talk to parents especially, I let them know that they need to have enough life insurance to make sure that the children get to at least 18 years of age. That's their responsibility. And if you're sick, the kids really love you. And they put a sad face on, they hug, they give you a kiss. In about 3 hours, though, they're hungry. And when they get hungry, illness just don't matter. They're hungry. They want to eat. And so these things continue to happen regardless. But now let me put something else on your mind. Let me go backwards. So if you look at this picture, you see an elderly couple and you see a younger person in there working with them. This is kind of the way of life. As we spend our time raising our children, giving them love and helping them get educated and teaching them how to live this life and how to make money and pay bills and all of that, there comes a time when a lot of us, we're too weak to do a lot of things for ourselves. And so you know what? It's a blessing when we have family that can take care of us. And in many occasions, our children are the one that end up taking care of us. Is that correct? So what happens if the children are not there? What happens? I mean, you keep living, you're gonna get there. And so the investment you make, in the children is for them to have a good life, but also down the road when it's difficult for you, you want to know that they got your back, that they're going to stand up, they're going to fight for you, just like you fought for them when they were younger. Correct? So I think it's very important that children have life insurance, especially with living benefits, because it's not about dying, it's about living. I don't understand the $10,000 or $15,000 life insurance policy. That's just for dying. I think it's important. The first time I heard about this concept, this gentleman that I heard it from was talking about his brother, actually his niece. His niece got diagnosed with a terminal illness. She was about 5 years old. Her parents were nurses. The child had a $500,000 policy on her. And because of living benefits, the parents were able to collect about $420,000 from that $500,000 policy. And they took 2 years off. And they just spent time with that child. They took that child to Disney World. They took her to try to get alternative treatment. They did everything they could think about doing for that child. Sadly, the child died anyway. But wasn't it a blessing to know that if that's the case that we have to deal with, that the parents that love the child could afford to spend those 2 years with that child, creating those memories, comforting that child, really, living whatever time the child had left, living with him rather than concerned about bills, running to a job, running back and forth. They could really spend time pouring into the child's life. When I heard that story the first time, I said, this is what life insurance for children is all about. Being able to really, because, it doesn't matter how sick the children are, the bills keep coming. But imagine if you're able to put $400,000 in a bank account. Don't worry about bills, just dedicate time to the child. I think that's phenomenal. And so, but those children, as they grow up, and as they receive all that love and all that guidance and direction, they want to return it. They want to return it. But if they're not there for whatever reason, if they die before you get there, it's good to know that you had some protection on them, that it could have served while they're going through their transition, but also have enough funds that you could put away so that later on, those funds are there that you can hire someone to take care of you if you have to. Does that make sense? I just believe that life insurance is a way to protect your assets. Insurance is a way to protect your assets against liabilities. And we protect our homes. We protect our automobiles. We have liability insurance if you have a business, right? And you want to make sure that everyone else is okay around you. But what about you? What about you being the most important asset in the home? What about the children coming up, becoming very important future assets to the home? Why not protect them? And then, if you understand that they are the future assets, why not do it when it's the least expensive to do it? I believe one of the earliest times you can insure a child is when they're 2 weeks old. And there are some programs that parents can have that as the children are born, they're born with coverage already. So I'm excited about getting this knowledge and this information into our community because it's much needed information. So listen, This is Life Insurance Awareness Month. We're going to be talking about this a whole lot more. We want to thank you guys for allowing us to share this information with our community. We have our Totally Lit YouTube channel. We want to invite you to visit, and I believe the host can tell you a little bit more about that. But my name is John Robinson. I enjoy sharing this information. Please let your friends and family know we'll be back here next week. We'll go into part 2